So we may as well get started. Anybody want to open with a greeting or prayer?
I'll talk to you later. Bye. Sorry, I had to take that phone call.
Pardon me?
I had to take that phone call. Are we ready?
We are. We just need an opening prayer or invitation. Anybody?
Well,
Yeah, I'll do it if you
Okay.
want. What's the subject matter?
Near-death experiences.
Near-death experiences. All right. Let's all center into the infinite presence of this thing we call God. Let us know that as individualizations of the one power, the one life, and the one presence, we are expressing our godlikeness always. And in this moment, we are examining what we call near-death experiences. But each of us know that life is a continuum and death is just a passage. And for that, we do give thanks. And so it is.
So it
So it
is.
is.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. So welcome, Tina. We're looking forward to this.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm in Granby, Connecticut, and I have been a facilitator for our near-death experience support group for over 25 years. We're online now, which is, in a way, it's working great because I'm able to book a lot of people from all over, actually, even from Canada. So that's been good. We have our meetings once a month, and anyone that wishes to attend may just email me and ask to be placed on the list. Okay. I also placed my website on the chat box for anybody that wishes to check out my website. I've had 2 near-death experiences, and one what's considered by IANS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, is a spiritual transformative event that happened when I was 2 years old, where and it's all in my book. I did a memoir. It took me 10 years to write my book, and it's still touching people's lives. So when I was 2 years old, my sister died, and for some reason, I was being accused of somehow causing my sister's death. She died at 1 year old. So whatever the reason that was, but there's more information in the book about that. So right after that happened, I would have a visitor every night before going to sleep, and I called her my beautiful lady because it was a regular 3-dimensional entity, and she was wearing veil-like outfit, and she would stay with me until I fell asleep. And then when I got to be about 8 years old, and I learned later that at that age is when the ego sets into the physical body. And I didn't want to be different because I realized that not everybody saw floating ladies in their room. So I didn't want to be different. And so I said, I don't want to deal with this right now. So she disappeared until 27 years ago when she appeared again over my garage. And as a matter of fact, if you check my website, you'll see the cover page on my book, which is also the website flyer there. And that's when she came and visited me again over my garage. And she told me what her name was. Her name is Naomi. And that she had been with me. She and I had been together since before Earth time. She told me she was my personal angel. And that visit was also very pivotal for me to be able to finally accept the gift of channeling, because up until then, I would get these impressions and I would give them to people, but I was really concerned. Well, what is it coming from? Is this right to give? All that, and she said that you chose to be of service in this way, and all you have to do is that you have to accept and trust, and we'll do the rest. And it was like this big load off my shoulders, and I finally accepted that gift, and I do that on a regular basis. But then when I was in my mid-20s, my then husband and my two daughters, we went. They were just babies then, but we went to this lake, and I was very careful in watching them, the children. And I tripped on something, and because I never learned to swim, the more I struggle, the more I was going down. And all of a sudden, as I started to swallow water and it's starting to hurt, I heard the snap. Automatically, all the pain was gone. I was still on the water, but the pain was gone. And I started to see like a slideshow of past, present, and future events. And every time I would be confused as far as what I was seeing, what was it? And I would hear again another snap, excuse me, and the information would become clear to me. In that event, I also received that my situation with my husband, with my marriage, was only going to get worse. And so when not my ex-husband, but my friend pulled me out of the water, and I started coughing and all that. And but I feel that I learned later that that experience is what's called a life review, the term life review. And I also knew that I was given extra strength in that experience to be able to go through what I was about to go through with getting divorced from this man. As they said, yes, the situation did get worse, and a while later, finally, I divorced him. And it's not easy because he wasn't accepting of that. So there was a lot of threats and drama. But I went through with it because I was very focused, and I knew that there was help from the other side. I just knew it instinctively. So went through all that. And then in 2012, I had what I named in my book, the miracle car crash. There was no way that I should have been alive, having had that accident. I was hit. My car was small. I was hit by an SUV. The car spun around on the street, and then it settled on the side of the road. And as it did that, I felt like a suction, like my soul was leaving my body, and it ended up in this, lack of better words, a space above the car. That's what it felt like. I could see everything else that was going on, but I could see my body in the car, lifeless, and I was in this area, this room, and the walls were made out of this most incredible, loving white energy. In that area was this very ornate table, and there were 9 entities on the other side of the table. And I knew instinctively that the one in the middle, somehow, he was the one that made the decisions. And the other 2, they were just emitting this incredible loving energy. There was no judgment or anything. And I suddenly I started saying, no, I'm not ready to go. I have so many other things to do still on the earth. And suddenly I felt my soul as a suction getting back into my car. And I saw the same people that I was seeing from above, getting closer to the car to see whether I was dead or alive. And I had all kinds of black and blue marks, so they did take me to the hospital eventually. And I didn't have any broken bones at all. My car was totaled. And that's why I called that chapter the miracle car crash. But within just a short period of time after that, I was supposed to be speaking at the Edgar Cayce Center in Virginia Beach. So I wanted to know a little bit more. So I went and had I was hypnotized and went back to the same day, January 5th of 2012. And I was able to receive more information from those entities. One of the things that they kept repeating over and over again was, enjoy every breath you take. And that stayed with me, because once in a while I even posted on Facebook, and whatever drama is going on within my friend group, they don't know what to respond to it, but it somehow the energy comes down. So I still didn't know who these entities were. And it wasn't until just a few months before I did self-publishing. I published my book, and just a few months prior, they came and visited me. I could feel them very gently coming into the room, and they said that the book was going to be very helpful to people that were contemplating suicide. That was one of the things. And they also told me that they are the lords of karma, which has nothing to do with karma as we know it. It's they're entities that are helping those of us who are helping others in all these earth changes and all the the speed of the energy that's being created right now. And so that was it. Whenever anybody asks me to share these experiences, I feel that I must, because it's important to do that. What is the use of having experiences if you don't share them with others, right? It's because a lot of people in my as an NDE facilitator, I vet people, speakers, and I learned that a lot of them they have no one to talk to, so it's important to have a support system, which I do a lot of work on this. I call it the labor of love, and I'm still doing it, and I plan to do it for as long as I'm still breathing. Now, I would like to open for questions. If you have any questions, please go ahead.
I do.
Yes.
I've come to the understanding, like Charlie alluded to, that everything is energy.
Yes.
Everything, and we are all basically living in a unified consciousness. So with that understanding, more specifically, like, how do you consciously create your reality? Like, are you doing it moment to moment? Are you choosing to do a revisitation of your day at night before you go to sleep or into the, into the next realm? Like, knowing what you have been gifted and understanding that being conscious is a gift for some, since we all know that many people are non-conscious beings. How are you using that gift in your own internal world day to day?
Well, usually, not always, but usually in the morning when my mind is fresh, I get downloads of information, which is not necessarily in words, but energy. And of course, choosing words for the energy downloads that I receive, it's quite a challenge. That's it's probably why it took me 10 years to write my book. But I am very much aware of what's going on. I'm not always able to share that with everyone. I I practice what I was told, to just trust the process. And if I ever, many times I'm given information to give to others, because sometimes I do what's called just the spontaneous messages. I receive them, and I know that if I don't give them away to those that need to receive it, it's like a broken record in my head. So that's why I share it. But mostly it's people make appointments to see me. But I'll tell you, it's not easy to know what I know and still listen to people's superficial conversations and think that is a challenge for me. But I just practice compassion as well. uh, those that have died and come back, we're never going to be the same. Anybody that thinks they are, they're in denial. And as you know, denial is not a river in Egypt. So now, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but you can ask more if you like.
Yeah, so yes, I understand what you're saying about your receiving. Are you what things are you actively doing in your life to create um like a purposeful life for yourself internally? Like, how are you consciously manifesting? Are you moment to moment conscious? Are you specifically grounding yourself? Are you revisiting your day and you know and kind of going into that field? Just personally, how
Yeah,
are you living your
it's mostly the trust. Trust the process is a biggie for me. I also have created 18 years ago, I've created a labyrinth here on my property, which is open to the public. And it's the largest private labyrinth in Connecticut. And I use that quite a bit just to kind of let go, because it is a vortex. And so if I have something to dump, I go in it. And most of the stuff that need to be dumped are things that I've taken from others, because that's part of the job. I consider myself very blessed with the opportunity that I have to be of service to others in this manner. Because we're not victimhood does not exist. I hear that a lot, but people don't want to accept that.
Right. It's the responsibility is a hard thing for people to understand, that everything they are responsible for creating, and it's a hard concept.
Yes, it truly still is. But it's a challenge. But spirit always shares, kind of lets me know that humor is so important. And many times I just I just say, yeah, it's easy for you to say, you don't have to be here and deal with this. So
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm curious about whether you ask for help from your guides, or whether you feel that you have guides, or your angels, as you say. I mean, do you
Yes.
constantly in communication saying, is this right for me, or how do I take something forward?
Yeah, it's kind of like a, it's not a prayer, but like a communication. Even, for example, opening the refrigerator, seeing multiple choices for eating. Is this going to be good for my gut for this, that? Yeah, I do use that a lot. And it's the gut. When you ask a question and you bring it by intention, bring it down to your gut, the solar plexus, the answer is there. The more you practice, the more you'll know what it is that it's meant to be for that moment for yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that next day is going to be the same, but yes, I do practice that quite a bit. Never alone. I get visits from people that have just recently passed on in my shower, of all places, because and I say to myself, thank God that you don't judge. It's like and because the water is a conductor of energy, so whenever we're in the water or near water, it's the clarity, the information is a lot more clearer.
Interesting.
Have any of you noticed that?
Water, for sure.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, now I don't even know what your question was. Did I answer?
Well, my follow-on question is about what Michelle was asking about, and that
Okay.
is manifestation. Because I'm
Yeah.
being taught that you can manifest absolutely anything if you just relax and let go of what is and just be, right?
One of the things that I share with a lot of people is when the people say, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, eliminate the word trying, because trying leaves room for failure. So just do it. You either do it or you do not. There's no trying, because there's energy in words, and
Yeah.
especially written words. In my book, I have one chapter that I was nudged. I say nudged, but sometimes I call them more like spiritual 2x4s when they need me to do something. Boom, boom, boom. And I put this chapter in my book, which is a practice on how to do what I do. Messages from spirit, and it's a process. The more you practice, the more comfortable spirit gets with you as an instrument, and us as instruments also become more comfortable with receiving.
Yeah.
And one other thing that they share with me a lot, they remind me a lot, just in case I forget, is the KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie. Kiss,
Yep.
kiss, kiss.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
I
All
like
right,
that sweetie
so
at the end.
Did I? Are you good with all this so far?
Yes, thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
that.
So Laura, you're very pensive in out there. Do you have any questions for me, since you know me a little better than most of these people here?
Well, I just wanted to share that I've been to many of the meetings, especially when they were in person. And it seemed like every single person in DE talk about the overwhelming feeling of unconditional love. I remember this one man from Boston that came to speak one time, and when he started to talk about that, he teared up and
Oh, yeah.
it rolled down his face, because he remembered that feeling just from talking about
Yeah.
it.
And one thing that I was told is that tears are very healing. So it's not that, there's no need to be afraid to rehash things, because the healing is in layers.
Mm.
Thank you, Laura.
I cry often.
It's good. It's good for the soul. Yeah.
Releasing.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
God, I feel like the castle's under attack by allergies and my nose and eyes are running. So when you talk about no victims, I get the principle, but I wish I knew what I did, if I'm doing anything, or if I had done anything to create this, then I would definitely find a way to stop it.
Yeah, one of the things that comes in my sessions with clients is that whenever they go through a similar situation such as yours, where they feel that they can't control it and all that, what I hear a lot, which is interesting, because sometimes I get frustrated. Why can't you just give the answers to the person, the answer that they need? No, they say things like, what is the lesson in this for you? It's all about what the lessons are in each circumstances.
Yeah. So usually when we talk about congestion, it's like, okay, maybe it's congestion in relationships. It's congestion somewhere metaphysically. I don't have the answer for it. I keep searching, and I just read a book that about the Dust Bowl and the tragedy of for 5 years of people having nothing and living in holes and living on rabbits and tumbleweed. It was devastating. And so people going through that tend to question, wow, is there a God? Is there something helping me? It's so difficult when you're in the drama of such an impact of horror, of everything dying, trees dying, all your plants dying, all your animals dying, you're dying, to find that spiritual enlightenment. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, in your case, as you're speaking, I am tuned in to the fact that you could possibly look at your dietary intake, because it's the balancing act is very difficult to do on the earth because the energy is so dense. So are there things that you could do nutritionally that could change that? For example, if you like, this is just an example, but people that like lots of cheese, there needs to be balanced with having onions and garlic, because
Okay.
that's because cheese makes a lot of mucus, and the garlic and onions helps to kind of release all that.
All right. Good suggestion. I appreciate that.
Okay, so that's nutrition. And then of course, as far as congestion, yeah, congestion of situations, people, all that, it's really looking in to see what it is that you could change for yourself. Each individual needs to look at that. What is how can I change the congestion in my life besides the dietary changes? And once you ask that question, the answers will come, not necessarily right away, but since you put it out there, because there's energy in everything. You put the question, as a matter of fact, journaling is such an important thing to do because there's power in the written words. So you put a question on paper and just be patient and wait for the clarity to get to you as far as how to change certain things. It's a work in progress. It's all about lessons to be learned in everything that happens to us. Now, we all decided to be born at this time on the earth, knowing that we knew right away before we came that things were going to be this challenging. And we still decided to do it because we are the ones who are supposed to be helping others to delete the fear and just do everything with love and compassion.
Thank you. That was very cool.
I have a question.
Yes.
The notion that no one is a victim, are we saying that psychopaths aren't real? Do they not have free will to like harm people? And did those people who the psychopath chose to harm not have a right to say that they're a victim? I mean, I don't know that I feel like that is really healthy for the person who has been harmed to hear that there's no such thing as victimhood. A woman never chooses to be raped, no matter what she's wearing or where she's at night. It is always the man who has made that choice to exert the power in that situation. So I just, whenever someone says there's no victims in the world, I just don't believe that people choose to get cancer to learn a lesson. I think we live in America where cancer rates are high because we have a lot of toxins in our world because we as a collective have not chosen to prioritize having a clean world right now. So I just find that as like a spiritual bypass kind of a thing. So like, and then it's like also bordering into like toxic positivity. Like you can just choose to never be assaulted or raped because like your willpower will overpower someone else's. I mean, I think it's the blanket statement. Like we all have lessons to learn from everything that happens in our life, and I absolutely believe that. But like people who were born, you know, differently, I don't know that they chose that. I mean, the babies that were born with tiny little limbs because of what thalidomide back in the 60s, you know, they didn't choose that. That was the medication causing that. So I just always, when I hear that as like a whole blanket statement, just really have a lot to push back on that about. Like, I used to buy into, you know, when I had spiritual teachers around me saying, well, we all choose this. When I heard one of those spiritual teachers say, oh, she has cancer, what do you think she's choosing to bring into her life by choosing to have cancer? I just like was like, no, I'm not gonna buy into that anymore, because I know the reality of our toxic environmental situation that we live in, and what we've done to ourselves as a society. I guess I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you. You should have seen me when I first heard all that. What? There are no victims, because especially since the way I was raised as a child, to be made to think that I was responsible for the death of my own sister. You know, it's like, who chooses that? But I've learned through the years that the earth experience is all about duality, the good, the bad, you know, nothing. If we want to be in a peaceful state, stay on the other side. The earth experience is all about creating contracts to do with other people. No one is doing anything without having chosen to do it. Of course, because the energy on the earth is very dense, it's a lot more difficult to do than when we thought it was going to be easy on the other side. Okay, so I believe that, very strongly believe that we all make contracts before we come on the earth, and we choose the different people to experience with, and they also have to agree at a higher level. The idea of, hold on. I'm seeing a lot of stuff. I have to make sense of all the energy that I'm seeing, so I can find the right words, okay? It's very overwhelming because the energy is not coming into words. The victimhood mentality is not to be angry about. It is basically about the lessons. What lessons are we supposed to learn within these struggles and challenges? It's just as simple as that. Now, I've had readings for people where there was this one example, is that this counselor who was very helpful to everyone else, but for years, she had been struggling with dealing with the fact that her uncle had molested her. Okay. And she didn't want to tell her mother because her mother thought that her brother was the best, and she didn't know how to deal with that. And what I got for her in the reading was that in a previous lifetime, she had done the same exact thing to the uncle. Okay. So this was a chosen drama to be redone so they could both feel what it feels like to be treated in such a way. Just
That sounds
knowing
like
that,
crazy making to me.
really,
Like,
truly, that's what I
yeah,
feel.
I mean, like telling a woman that it's her fault she got molested because she did it to someone in a previous life
No, but
sounds
she wasn't.
psychologically like
No,
traumatizing and
she wasn't
and detrimental
traumatized.
to the
She
person.
wasn't traumatized. She says, Tina, you just gave me the peace that I had been waiting for years. I don't feel like I need to tell my mother anything. I just accept that and just go on with my life. Thank you for that information. So everybody takes information because everything is personalized, you know. You may think that, but she thought it was the greatest message that she could have ever received. So it's important not to generalize with everything. It's everybody, you know, everybody's opinions and everybody's needs are different.
May I add to that? I might have some clarity with this because I've done some extensive soul searching on this and have come to some understandings that help me. If
Very
I
good.
may I?
Sure, please.
So from a quantum world, we are both living in a duality on this three-dimensional plane and a oneness on another plane.
Yes.
And so we are both particle and we are both wave. Okay. We are both at the same time. We are a particle and we are part of a collective, like a wave. It's called wave.
Okay.
And you could think of it like a drop in the water that also is a wave that is part of the whole. And humanity and you and me is included in this physical realm, which also is connected to the TV, is all connected to the tree and the plant and everything. And it's a little hard sometimes because I think we drop down into that particle perspective, that duality. So when you hear the word victimization and all that stuff, you're kind of in that particle, but you have to kind of take yourself out of the particle and be part of the wave, part of the oneness, so that you can understand that all of humanity gets to experience everything that is possible, just like everything is possible and it's all happening at the same time. And that includes the darkness and the light. That is what duality is. There is beauty in a rainbow and and love, but there is also war, and it is not the fault. So when you hear the word victim, I think you're personalizing it from a humanitarian, very limited.
That's what it is. Like
Yes.
it's a really personal word. I mean, a
Yes,
victim is an actual identifiable word in the English language. It's a person that something has been done to. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just don't want to disempower people
No.
who have had real trauma and tell them, oh, well, you chose it. So, you know,
No. Collectively,
I mean,
we have all chosen all experiences together. Is that a better way for you to look at it rather than a?
I do believe that like we as humans are evolving and that we still have to see examples of bad in order for us to choose good in this world. Like I do get that is like part of it, but I think the part of my issue is just like the blanket caveat and how it was said earlier. It's actually gaslighting to some people to say it in just that like so blank, like non-nuanced way.
Yeah.
So it becomes like even further traumatizing to some people when there's no nuance talked about when you say there's no victims in the world.
I think what you're referring to is the pain body and self-identification. And in this regard, you almost have to take out that is identification with the pain body. It is not the idea of everything that is gets to be experienced by all, because we're all affected. Even if it's happening to the particle, the person, we're all affected because we're all one in the unified field.
Yeah. We're all
Is
one.
that better?
I mean, I believe that piece that we are all part of like a super consciousness and we're all connected because we all are energy. I do believe that. I just, yeah, I think, I mean, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm taking up a lot of time with this, and I apologize because that's
It's
not
okay.
why we're really here. But
I don't see a problem with that. So it's important to verbalize what's going on.
yeah, I just I don't want someone that's like watching this later to think that everyone here thinks that if something like has happened to you that you chose it all. Like we all choose how we react to things. We all choose what we learn about things. But you know, some things are just accidents and some things are just broken people doing bad things. And yeah, I'm gonna stop now, but thanks for replying.
Well, thank you for that.
Can I say
Yes,
something
Joe.
since I
Yes, Joe.
brought the subject matter up? Okay, so it's all about, to me, spiritual enlightenment. And Dharma is getting caught up in the victimhood and retaliation. And we do that on a humanistic level, continuously ad infinitum. But what gets us off that karmic wheel is the ability to transcend that moment into the realization that we are the ocean. And the ocean can never be victimized. It can never die. It's forever. And so throughout the millenniums, the spiritual teachers have taught us transcendence, to get out of the immediate moment of pain and suffering and move into a conscious awareness that we're a lot more than that. What seems real in the world is very experiential, but what is really real is our spiritual identity that is never sick, never dies, never is a victim. So whatever spiritual practices we're involved in are inevitably teaching us transcendence or spiritual awareness. So that's an individualization trip for each of us. And so I brought the subject up. I'm glad we talked about it. It helps me clarify it. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
mean,
Charlie.
I think that, you know, our creative life spark force that like created us all as individuals, like we're here, we're meant to be, you know, experiencing this in our bodies. And I don't know, I can't articulate what I want to say right now. I'm sorry.
I understand. Words are hard to, but just what I do often is I ask for clarity because I get downloads of energy, but not necessarily in words. So I always
I mean,
ask
I
for
have
clarity.
clarity about like many pieces of this, like as someone who, you know, has experienced a rape, like doesn't do me any good to like stay in, you know, anger with that person. I have to understand that like there are reasons that they did what they did, you know, and let all that go. But it wouldn't have helped me in my healing to have someone just caveat without any nuance say there are no victims. So
Yeah, that's a blank statement.
Mm.
That's why it needs to be like when I receive information with clients and about past lives, it always has to do with what's going on in this present life. That's where the help comes in, having that clarity, and then they get that, aha, that's why this and that helps them. But I never say, oh, you did this in a past life and just leave it. Spirit never leaves it just at that. They always clarify things in order to be of help to this lifetime.
Mm.
Thank you.
And
Anyone else?
there's an odd saying in the 12-step programs too that I never quite understood. They say there's no such thing as victims, we're volunteers.
oh, and let's just like say, can you imagine saying that to someone who's just been raped again? Like,
No, but this is in accordance to alcoholism.
right.
So it's a whole different thing.
Got it.
Okay, can I just say something here? Um, this is very powerful. As someone who was a victim of a very alcoholic and abusive physically mother, what did that lesson in life teach me? It taught me a lot. It taught me how to have compassion. It taught me how to minister to kids in the teen center for 15 years about bullying and about learning how to love yourself. It taught me a lot. But how would I feel if someone said to me, well, you kind of chose this. I get it. I totally understand where you're coming. I would definitely take offense to that because it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that I, as part of my life plan, chose to be born into this abusive alcoholic situation. But it taught me so many powerful things like forgiveness. And I got 30 years of sobriety with my mother. It taught me a lot. But I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. And I guess I'll leave it at this. As we all sit here today as adults and where we are in our lives, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but not everybody's there. Not everybody understands, you know, the whole spiritual aspect of what we're talking about. But I get it. I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
I do want to interject that this is a safe place to bring these things up, and I'm very happy that you're pushing back on anything that's said here, because that's what we're about, is we allow anything.
I don't feel like it's pushing back. I feel like it's sharing through my experience because there's
Yeah.
a lot of positive that came out of that, you know, whole experience. But I had back, you know, maybe 20 years ago, someone said something to me, well, you know, you kind of chose this. I think I would be very hurt and it could be traumatizing because you have to remember that it's a trauma, what we go through when you're a victim. So you have to work through that trauma to become whole again and to understand that that situation doesn't define who you are. That's a lot of work.
True.
A lot
But
of work.
isn't it also a spiritual belief that we choose our parents?
Yeah.
I don't actually believe that, but some people do.
I've always
Yeah.
understood that we choose our parents, and the ones who miscarry or something happens to them at birth is because it wasn't meant to be.
Well, and also, and I think another way to look at it is, you know, we are all, the universe wants to experience itself. And we are sentient beings here as tentacles to report back to the oneness. And we have got to experience everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the great. So all of us are vehicles for us all to experience everything about what it is to be human on this earth plane. So maybe that's a better way to look at it, that it is all, you know, we all get to be victim and victor. We all get to be in pain and deal with suffering, but get to overcome and learn compassion. And we, unfortunately, for some, the fingers that are the tentacles of what happens are more experienced, more affected, let's say, than others. Just like some people are having bombs dropped on them and other people are walking to the fountain and getting water from their safe home. It's just the oneness, the wave, the oneness of all of us experiencing this together. That's why your pain and their pain is our pain.
It's true. I believe that.
That I can get into for sure. That doesn't necessarily mean that people are choosing to experience like these things that are suffering, but I'm accepting that they happen.
We are all choosing it because we have to experience. It's not an individual.
I mean, that just negates free will too. So I'm big on like free will for sure. So
I'd like to add something if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
My book is all about being molested, being raped, being beaten, everything in my life. But at 74 years old, I was finally able to write that book because what I was able to finally believe was what my therapist told me 40 years ago. It's not that it's ever going to go away. It will always be there, but it's how you deal with it when it shows up again. And that is what
Amen.
stops me from being a victim or a volunteer. I deal with it. And I understand now at 74 that everything that happened to me made me the beautiful, wonderful being that I am today. And I am so grateful, even though it was horrible. Yes, it was awful, but I am grateful to be able to share that with other people to help them through their pain. That is my purpose in this world. And I am grateful. I wasn't grateful 40 years ago. Believe me, I was angry. I wanted to kill,
Mhm.
the perpetrator was lucky he died when I was 17 because I probably would have killed him. But I learned from every single person who hurt me, every person I hurt, to be grateful for being able to finally, after 74 years, share this with the world. And I hope it helps. And that's, again, it still comes up. It still sneaks up on me, and I still have to deal with it.
It's
And
beautiful.
Paula, that's what makes you such a wonderful president of our organization, because you have
Thank you.
learned the art of transformation.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yes.
And
And
forgiveness, so important.
Amen.
and
Yeah,
I'm still
forgiveness is
learning.
big.
You
Yes.
learn till the day you leave here and transition.
Mhm.
And I always said the day I stop learning is the day I move to the next
Mhm.
plane. So
My
Tina, thank you. Thank you.
my morning joke is this: I wake up, I feel that I'm still breathing. I say, okay, I'm still breathing. That means I'm not done yet. Let me get up and see what I need to do.
Great.
You
I
have to
love it.
have a sense of humor. And a lot of people say to me, Tina, I'm so sorry that that happened to you, the accident. No, I'm not, because I would not be the same person had I not had my near-death experiences. So
I'm curious, when you had two near-death experiences, I'm curious, the environment that you went to, were they similar at all? Like you mentioned about I'm remembering pearlized white walls. Uh, was it that same way? Was it the same environment both times you were over there?
well,
Do I make sense?
I don't know if it same. I know that I stopped breathing once I was swallowing water when I was at the lake in my 20s, and then I was instantly wrapped by this beautiful blinding white light of just unconditional love. And I recognized that concept in 2012 when I died at the car crash. The love energy that was so it's just love unconditionally. I was wrapped in it, and I felt no pain until the soul came back into my body. So I don't know if that.
Well,
Okay.
it does answer. You experienced the similar
Yes, there were similar.
spiritual reactions both times,
You
and
can
that
never, once
was my
you
question.
are wrapped by the white loving light, you will never be the same, and you can never forget it.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's when it's your time. What
Some
do they
mornings,
say?
some mornings I wake up and say, oh, damn, I'm still here.
Because you're not done. That's why you're still here.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I
Still
know.
have work to do.
I know. So, for those that don't know this, our conference next year, it's supposed to be somewhere in the area of Phoenix, Arizona. which I intend to go to and present there.
Cool.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one more share. I did have an NDE when I was 16. I had a twisted gangrenous fallopian tube and I almost died.
Wow.
And I had the life review, which was funny because my life was so short.
Yeah.
But I followed the white tunnel that you hear about. And my great grandmother was standing there, and I only met her once. And she was standing in the most beautiful garden I have ever seen in my life. And I was surrounded by that total acceptance, love. And I was so angry when she said, "You have to go back." I said, "But I don't want to go back. It's beautiful here. It's hell on earth. My life is hell." And she said, "You have work to do, child. Get going." And I found myself back in my bed. It was just like,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Graham. I really, but I experienced that once again when I was working with Jean Mandeville and she was teaching us to be psychic mediums. I trans-channeled Mother Mary, which really scared the bejesus out of me because that love was so intense. And according to Jean, she only had one finger on me. So it was like, whoa, and I've been frightened to trans-channel her ever since because I had never felt that kind of love and acceptance. And it was totally encompassing.
Yeah. She is very
Oh,
loving.
She is.
She always often comes through whenever there's a need of motherly love with some of my clients. She's wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful. So thank
So,
you. We so
Paula,
appreciate having you
Yes.
here. Mhm.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Usually when I vet people to be speakers for our group,
Mhm.
I kind of keep it short and says, what was your experience? How did it affect you? And what are you doing with the gift now? Do you think that near-death experience is allowing you to do what you're doing today?
It's allowed me to open myself to spirit world to get messages, which I do.
Yeah.
It also helped me interpret the Alzheimer language. It gave me a new career. I thought I was going to be a nun. It gave me the career of being a nurse working with Alzheimer's because when I woke up, there was a lady in the room with me because I was in a hospital who was very demented and the nurses could not understand her, but I could.
See, you came with that gift. Yeah.
I came back with that gift. And that's been my career for 50 years. I've always been able to interpret Alzheimer's. And I also knew how to work with them, to respect them, to meet them where they were, which
Yeah,
most nurses
to
cannot do
honor
because,
them. Yeah.
right. And they taught me so much.
Oh, yeah.
It was wonderful working with them, but that's the gift I came back with. And then in my 50s, I redeveloped my psychic side because I had that when I was 4 and it was stifled. So I was given a dual gift and I'm blessed. As you
Yeah.
said, I am blessed.
Well, just so you know, our group, the Connecticut group, there are 3 people involved. They're actually writing a book based on the 12 steps, but this one is for NDEers. And we're also going to have separate, besides the speakers meeting, we're going to have support groups where it's not going to be recorded so people can feel more free to share what's on their mind. And that's going to be happening within the new year.
Oh, great.
We're
How do I
excited.
connect? How do I connect to them to become part of the group?
Laura, can you send her our?
Forward you the
Thank
link.
you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. All right. Anyone else?
I have a suggestion. When
Yes,
you
John.
have your group in Phoenix,
The
maybe
conference.
we could do a joint venture between the Madonna interfaith community and what you're doing, because we, in our organization, we help people transform and help them accomplish through ceremony something that's latent within themselves to bring it forth. So anyway, I see a joint possibility here.
Well, definitely open for communication.
Right.
Thank you. All right.
Here it goes.
Okay. Oh, what's going on?
So
Well, it's
thank you.
just-
We're at the end of our time, but thank you so much. This was
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you,
And it was
thank
Thank you,
like
Nikki.
sitting on the
Wow.
edge of our
Phenomenal.
seat.
The time just flew. I can't
did.
believe
Yeah.
it.
It
Well,
did.
thank you very much for having me. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And
Definitely.
thank you, Laura, for asking me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Laura has
Thank you.
some singing bowls to take
Yeah.
us out from here.
Take us out. Okay,
It's been an
so
honor.
everyone take a slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And another. And one more. And may peace be with you all. God bless.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Laura.
All right.
You.
Thank you.
Another
Namaste.
time we'll do a sound bath.
Yeah, definitely. So I think next week we have Michelle, if you're still up for it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can, yes, Dolly will
Okay.
help me with sending out links or whatever. I
Well,
don't have to
what I'd
send a
like to
link.
do
You have
is
to
just-
send a link?
Yeah, just have a title and we'll put it in the newsletter and send it around that way.
Okay, and who do I give the newsletter? Where's
Me.
the news? Okay,
So just your name, how you want to be credentialed, and a title for your talk.
I already have the title.
Okay, what is it?
It's called Abundance.
Okay, I like that one.
Great.
Abundance.
Abundance.
All right.
All
Works for
right,
me.
very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you all.
Okay.
thank you
Thank
so
Have a
much.
blessed week,
wonderful
everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody have a great week.
Love to you all.
Bye.